Unmatched accuracy, practical functionality of a GMT, spring drive technology, and the level of detailed craftsmanship now synonymous with the Grand Seiko brand. Today I have two pieces for us to compare. One is discontinued and one is still in production, and if you're asking why one has a Seiko stamp at the 12 o'clock instead of the Grand Seiko logo, stick around and I'll cover that later in the video. Let's get into these two watches, and by the end of this video, you'll understand the differences and similarities between them. If you enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that I know I'm not just fanboying on the internet by myself. Thank you for joining me again today. My name is Sharif from Timepiece Caravan. As you probably already know, I really love Grand Seikos. I'm still impatiently waiting for my invitation to be an official brand ambassador, but in the meantime, we're looking at the SBGE001 and SBGE255. Let's start off with obvious similarities between the two pieces like the reference number, SBGE. What do those letters mean exactly? If you're familiar with Grand Seiko, you've definitely seen the letters SBGA, SBGJ, and even SLGH thrown around quite frequently. These letters can very quickly reveal what type of movement and complications are featured on a watch. All SBGEs are GMTs with date complication and spring drive movement. The popular SBGAs are the time, date, think the snowflake and cherry blossom. If you wanted a GMT with a date complication but with a high beat movement instead of spring drive, you would be looking for an SBGJ. So these two pieces, both being SBGEs, explain a lot of the similarities. They both have the power reserve indicator between the 8 and 9 o'clock, which shows you how much energy is stored in the spring drive movements. Both are missing a 4 o'clock index, which has been replaced by the date window in line with a screw down crown supporting the 200 meters of water resistance. They both have an independently controlled GMT hand, which are used to show your home time while traveling in a different time zone. On both of these, the hour hand can be set independently from the minutes and GMT hands, which makes these true GMTs. Both are fitted with dual curved sapphire crystals with an anti-reflective coating on the interior. Uncommon on Grand Seikos, both of these feature lume for use in low light situations. At this point, you probably already know that the finishing on both of these cases is incredible. Sharp angles, beveled edges, contrast between brushed surfaces and mirror-like Zaratsu polishing, all done by hand. They're Grand Seikos. When it comes to the attention to detail of the finish, what's not to love? Alright, so we have a lot of similarities, but you can probably tell that they have different dimensions. While they both have the same thickness of 14.7 millimeters, the case diameter of the older SBGE001 is larger than the SBGE255 with 44 millimeters and 40.5 millimeter diameters respectively. The 001 has a larger lug-to-lug measurement of 50 millimeters, whereas the 255 has a lug-to-lug of 48.7 millimeters. And even the bracelet of the 001 is 1 millimeter larger compared to the 20 millimeter bracelet of the 255. The bracelets also have different style clasps. The 255 has a clasp that is more common within the Grand Seiko Sports collection. It features micro adjustment holes on the side of the clasp which can help fine-tune the size of the bracelet. The 001 has a smaller clasp that's more common in the Heritage collection. I'm actually not sure why they didn't use the sports style clasp on both, considering they're both in the sports collection, but I do personally like the smaller style clasp on the 001, so no complaints there. Let's take a closer look at the SBGE001 so we can talk about some differences. The SBGE001 was originally released in 2006 with with an MSRP of $5,500. It has a flat black dial with a red GMT hand matching the GMT text at the 6 o'clock. At the 12 o'clock, we see the Seiko stamp, which confuses a lot of people. Is this a Seiko or Grand Seiko? Are they the same thing? Well, it's sort of complicated. Grand Seiko was first introduced to the world over half a century ago in 1960. At that time, Grand Seiko was comprised of a small, specialized team with the objective to make the ideal handcrafted wristwatch. The Grand Seiko line was just a tiny subsection within the Seiko catalog, so each Grand Seiko was actually a Seiko watch, which is indicated by the prominent Seiko logo at the top of the dial. So if you wanted a Grand Seiko watch, you would purchase it from a Seiko retailer. It wasn't until 2017 that the Seiko Corporation decided to officially split the Grand Seiko line into its own independent luxury brand. From 2017 onward, the Seiko logo was removed from Grand Seikos, and if you wanted to purchase a new Grand Seiko, you would have to go to a Grand Seiko boutique or authorized dealer. Pre-2017 Grand Seikos aren't any less grand compared to their post-2017 counterparts. Outside of branding on the dial, there is essentially no difference at all. In fact, if you replace the first 0 in 001 with a 2, you'll find the current version of the 001, the 201, which is still in production today. Same thing with original Seiko stamped snowflake reference number SBGE011. Replacing the 0 with a 2 gives you the current reference number SBGE255. Alright, enough about the Seiko Grand Seikos and Grand Seiko Grand Seikos. If you want to learn more about the history of Grand Seiko, let me know in the comments. Back to the SBGE001. The Seiko stamped black dial is surrounded by a black rehaut with a 24-hour scale in white text. This scale is used to help read the GMT hand. The bezel of the 001 can be rotated bidirectionally in order to keep track of a third time zone. They spared no expense on the bezel as expected. The bezel insert is actually protected by a ring of sapphire, which makes it scratch-proof and gives the bezel a depth that is very appealing to me. In my mind, the bold and under-the-radar look of the SBGE001 says I'm just traveling for work. The younger and slimmer 255, on the other hand, is looking to have a good time on vacation. Released in 2020, the 255 has a current MSRP of $6,200. The lively blue sunburst dial of the 255 dances in the light. The color transitions from a faint sky blue to a deep navy depending on the angle of the light, giving the dial a personality of its own. The baby blue GMT hand matches the GMT text at the 6 o'clock. The rehaut on the 255 is blue and silver, indicating day and night hours. The bezel is a handsome dark blue fixed ceramic bezel with white 24-hour scale numerals. A small but welcome detail on the 255 is the polished power reserve indicator hand, where the hand on the 001 has a matte finish. Again, the 255 is here to have a good time. So there we have it, two incredible timepieces that serve the same function with completely different personalities, from two different periods within the history of Grand Seiko. We talked about the similarities, differences, and even touched upon why some Grand Seiko watches have the Seiko stamp on the dial. Drop a comment below and share which of these you would choose for your next travel adventure. Also, let me know if you like the retro look of double stamped dials. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you can see more content like this as it's released. Give a follow to @Timepiece Caravan on Instagram to stay up to date on our available inventory of pre-owned watches, and feel free to reach out if you're looking for your next timepiece, especially if it's a Grand Seiko. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.